Hey guys, ZEVENX here. Decided to do the tutorial that's been highly requested ever since I did the Jack U vocal chop tutorial. And you guys have been asking for this Marshmello type bass that I used in my remix of Love Yourself that I did with Tracy Jo Hanson. And I gotta say, it's pretty simple, and I'm gonna go through how I came up with it and then how you guys might be able to recreate something similar. So let me just give you a preview of what it sounds like, and then we'll get started. So the bass that you guys have been talking about is this one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it's two layers. It's this sub bass and this saw bass. Now there's a lot of things that I kind of did to get into that sound, but it's not that hard. So let's start with the sub bass. So as you can see, first of all, I mean, you have your notes and you have your sound and everything. I just want to tell you real quick that these automations right here, just so you don't get confused, it's just because I wanted to lower the volume a little bit towards the end of each note so that when the other one hits, it sounds a little bit louder. It has more of an impact. But on to the sound. The sound that I got it from was from the Nexus, and I just went to the basic sine, and I use this for a lot of my sub basses, and so this is just the sound it gives. Now there is processing on it, so let me bypass all that and then show you how I kind of just manipulated it afterwards. That's with no processing on it. It sounds a little bit weak. It has potential, and so just right off the bat I added some camel fat. If we go over here, they have a preset called just subs down here, right here. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys right off the bat. I'm not a sound design expert. I look for sounds that sound good. If they work, I'll use them. If they need a little bit of touch-ups, then I'll do that. I can walk you through a little bit of what's going on in here in the camel fat, so that maybe you guys can use your own devices to recreate that that preset of the bass just subs, because it pumps it up a little bit. This is with and without it. So this is with, without. And so there's an obvious difference there, and all it is there's a filter here, and just getting rid of the high frequencies that really aren't necessary for a sub bass. So just pull all these down and kind of muffle that sound up a little bit more. Shoot, and I just moved it by accident, so somewhere around there. That's fine. Okay, and let me just move it back to how it was. Okay. We have some distortion on here, I think. Some tube distortion, and you can, I think, find that in like amps and stuff like that if you go to like an amp plugin or something. And then we have a compressor on here, just to really pump that sound. So you guys can find the compressor here in Ableton or whichever DAW you're using. Other than that, nothing really too complicated. So, I mean, just kind of get rid of those high frequencies with the filter, add some distortion to get a little bit of just a touch of like some of that tube grit that almost, I don't know, it's got a certain touch to it. And then just the compressor to pump it up a little bit. And that's about it for the camel fat. Or you could just get the camel fat and then just apply that preset. I have my utility on here. I use the gain to turn it up, and then I use the width parameter to pull it all the way down to 0 so that it's in mono. So this is with, louder, without. Literally just use a knob and a parameter to make that happen. And then the final thing on the chain is just an EQ. All I'm doing is, like I said, cutting some low frequencies, not boosting anything. There's a little bit of a roll off here, but I think that's just, I don't know what, 30 hertz? Okay. Nothing really that'll make much of a difference, at least in a general sense. That's it for the sub bass. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about. As far as the sub bass, If you look here on the Nexus, the preset is basic sine. I went to silent, and so just in case you don't have Nexus, and I just went in here and put literally like just a regular sine wave. So you can go in there and literally put in a sine wave and apply some of the same processing that I did on sub bass just to make it fatter. Next thing we have is that saw bass that goes on top, so just so you can hear the difference. So this is just the sub bass on the drop, and then with the saw bass you get some of that higher end grittiness that gives it that openness, and just like that's what spreads out to your ears. Again, with the automation, all I'm doing is pretty much recreating a gating effect, and I'll be honest right now, I have no idea how to use the gate on here. It's probably really simple, and I think I've done it before, but I just figured, you know what, why don't I just do some automation? And I'm probably going to get some hate for using the automation for the mixer volume as what I'm doing to manipulate the overall gain. I should have used the utility instead, but whatever. So, on this one, there is definitely a lot more going on. So let me just turn everything off and then go one by one on the processing, because the processing is really what gives it the sound. Because, again, I use a Nexus preset dance lead. I know it's not. It's, well, I don't know. I think it's in bass and basic saw open. That's the preset. So that just sounds like this. Nothing special at all. Again, I went into silent, opened up sine wave, or a saw wave, and literally it sounds pretty simple. So it's a matter of, you know, going in there and doing a little processing. But anyways, back to the one that I actually used. I have, first of all, this, I went into my audio effects, and if you go to multi-band dynamics, there's a preset here, OTT, threw that on there, took off the low, didn't need any lows in this sound, so we start off with that. And you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't use the OTT preset, I just threw a multi-band dynamic in there, and just boosted some of the gains, and I guess cut down a little bit on some of the mid gain, and yeah, just to get it a little bit brighter. Next thing we have is the OTT from Xfer, this one right here, and I just did a little downward compression and the upward compression. And here I boosted the highs a little bit just to get those nice high frequencies, that grit. Next on the chain we have the Camel Crush on the Annihilate preset. Like I said, you can go ahead and use your own amps or distortion units to recreate this sound. And so I just have a compressor on here and distortion, tube distortion. So those are pretty easy to come by. And so that just automatically blows up the sound and just sounds crazy. With the utility, I wanted to give it some width again. Like I said, this is the higher bass kind of sound that you really spreads out, you want to get people's attention with. So I pulled up the spread with the utility to 125. And you can use any stereo utility type device to do this, or you know, do some panning type stuff and figure it out. But then I have the LFO tool for some side chaining. And so it's a little bit different because, like I said, I already have that kind of volume automation kind of gating things a little bit, so it sounds a little funky, but just for the sake of it being there, I added it on there, just something very simple. EQ, cutting all low frequencies in this area. Right here, we started at 257 Hertz, so everything below that didn't use. There was a frequency here at 3.81 kilohertz that was just resonating a little bit too much, so I just pulled that all the way down, cut it out. And same up here, I didn't need anything above 11.1. I like this effect just because it almost has a telephone-y type effect that consolidates the sound into a different frequency range. And so, like, we took all the processing we just did and kind of pulled it into just that region. And then just some reverb to give it more of that width and that wide sound. And I love this because it's like the reverb is on the sound, making it wide and everything, but then it doesn't have that tail because of the volume automation that I had been doing here. So it cuts off at the tail. So just a great application overall. And that's really it. And then so guys, that is the gist of it. I hope that I covered any questions you might have as far as the space sound goes. Like I said, I know a lot of you guys are requesting it, and I don't know what you guys were expecting, but like I said, it was very simple, and I just went through some sounds that I thought might have sounded good, and this worked. But like I said, you can go into silent or whatever, really any you know, third-party plugin or just anything, really, anything that has a sine wave, anything that has a saw wave, you can get this sound. It's very simple, and then like I said, the cool thing about it is really that some of these sounds are really being made through the processing. So go in there and look at my processing chain and you know, just try different things and see what works. Maybe something will sound better in a different key and things like that. So just see what you need, what you don't need, and I hope this helps. I'll see you guys next time.